So yeah, it's a big deal here.
Okay, we're live. Welcome to the studio, everybody. I'm Don. I'm joined by James and Marcus, and hopefully Duck Bacon will join us in a little bit. Bancroft himself said he may pop in. We don't know. We'll see. What this is, it's just a stream for about an hour or so where we just basically, like you're a fly in the wall at a comic art studio, where we just are working on stuff and we're just shooting the breeze and just having a good time.
Hey,
And,
there we go. James draws it all by hand too.
yeah,
They-
James.
Oh
is
yeah,
showing
I'm
Any
very
pencil will
traditional.
do. Like I got these pencils. Look at these pathetic pencils.
Yeah, I'm very traditional. I have
What?
always. I just
There he
can't.
is.
I cannot work on a computer.
Doug.
I've tried.
Well,
I
I've
can't
never
do it.
had to work on one, so I've never been busy enough over the years as everything turned to the computer age.
Mhm.
That so I never invested in the equipment. If I was, you'd have to do something, a scanner or something.
Yeah. But like I said, I have never ever been able to work on a computer when it comes to drawing.
Well, the only reason I started was because I was trying to save money. Because for me, that stuff got a little expensive. So,
Yeah, but I'm talking about especially with coloring now. You got to go digital on
Oh, yeah.
coloring. That's just a given.
what the hell's going on with the brush out here?
I never really colored anyway.
I don't. That's why I have Don.
But what I'm jealous of is if I mess this up, the whole page goes. If you're doing it digital, you just take the layer out.
Oh,
I
I
know.
know. I've had. I mean, this is my eraser right now. That's how much. I mean, this thing used to be like but that big.
I had Photoshop years and years and years ago, and I was learning it, and then that project went away.
Dude, I started off with it was Photoshop Elements too. I got it for like $50 at Walmart years ago, and I used that sucker till the disc was broke. You know what I mean?
I used it. A guy got it to me for free.
Nice.
And I was we were working on a comic strip idea. We were connected. Me and my partner, Eric Goldstein. I still do work for him after all this time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'll work on. I'll show you in a second. That when I talked about Mythic Americas and indigenous things, I've done 7-page story and an 8-page story.
Yeah.
And it basically, if you go to Gen Con, you could see it. Like my stuff's at Gen Con and stuff, but I'm not like connected with them. He's like a partner in this Mythic Americas, and at least he does most of the entertainment stuff. So he's a comic guy, so he wants to do. They call it the 8-page graphic novel, right?
Uh-huh.
And I posted those pages, and it's Mayan and Aztecs. And I'm like, I'm white, half Jewish guy, so I don't know if this is really a great idea, but they don't seem to care. Nelson Martinez, the owner, doesn't seem to care. Eric's Jewish, so. And we're doing Eskimo Inuits now. And what I start out with is sketching it now. I'm sketching it on blue, on small paper, or 11 by 17, depends on what I feel like.
I'll tell you what's really interesting.
And since I travel around North Carolina, and if I drive over 4 hours, I stay in hotels and stuff. I'll carry it with me. So if it's a small, it's really easy to carry stuff.
Yeah,
I don't take the traveling studio.
Yeah.
So, but this is a problem when I blow this up on a copy machine. Since it's blue, you can't see it.
Yeah.
So I found that the blue is easier to sketch around with because I'm not smudging the paper. I end up smudging it and redrawing it, smudging it and redrawing. I ended up drawing everything 3 times. I draw it small. I light box it. I'm light boxing it over, and then I'll do the pencils, and then I'll tighten the pencils after the light box. And by the time I ink it, I never want to see the page again.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
And I think RT Bear works a lot like that. And a lot of the older guys that we talk to, like the Kings, they just go right to the paper, like Andy Smith or something. Like he was showing that. Like I asked him, he goes right to the paper. But the secret is he's not drawing that 11 by 17. He's drawing that 11 by 14.
Oh.
I'll tell you if you want to hear something weird, Rob Liefeld, a lot of his stuff is done 8 on regular sheets of paper.
If
Yeah,
you can
him
get the
and I
detail.
think it's J. Scott Campbell. I think they both draw kind of small at first, and then he blows
So
up.
I'm talking about the actual cover.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I actually own one of the Hawkman covers he did,
Uh-huh.
and it's like this big.
That's like that's
Here,
like,
I'll go get it. Hold on, I'll go get it.
that's hard to ink though. Well, a lot of
I'll tell you what he does. I'll tell you what he does.
Hey,
A lot
how
of
the
stuff
hell do
is-
I share my my screen without taking the whole thing over? Because see, when I do this, it goes full. I don't want to go full because I don't want to.
That's all right.
Too much
a lot
ugly.
of it-
Too much ugly. Get off screen.
A lot of his stuff isn't inked.
Okay,
Rob
so-
would come right from his pencils.
This is Rob's actual cover to Hawkman, and that's how big it is.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
Oh shit!
Okay,
You got
that's-
original Rob Liefeld art, dude.
Yeah.
God, I hate you right now.
You really want to see something? You really want to hate me? Hold on, I'll be right back.
Do I really want to hate you?
I used to
If
have
you bring
original
Jim
art.
Lee art onto this thing, and it's yeah.
I
might
used to have
hate you
original
more.
art, but I sold it all.
Why would you do that?
You didn't, I had a couple John Buscema pages, not the most exciting.
Oh, dude.
I had a page from I had a cover from Iron Man 148, Bob Layton.
Come on.
That was
Come
really nice. I sold that for a lot of money.
Come on up here and introduce yourself to everybody. Everybody, this is Max, my boy. Say hi, everybody, Maxie.
How old is Max?
Max is not quite a year old. Maximus, Badassimus, Puticatimus.
Still a kitten.
What's that now?
Still a kitten.
Well, yeah, to a point, but he's going to be a monster when he gets fully grown.
Awesome.
He's my little asthmatic cat.
Yeah, I have two cats.
Okay,
Hey, Doug
guys,
Bacon, I just noticed. How you doing?
you ready? You ready for the one to really piss you off?
Oh, here we go.
Oh wow, look at that.
Michael Turner. Dude,
That's
you are
awesome.
nasty.
Awesome.
Okay, hold on. I got more.
That's beautiful.
But I'm older than you guys. Oh nice.
What?
Oh, yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 50. I'll be 59 at the end of the month.
Okay, yeah, you're older than me.
So when you go like
Good
we
show.
do image, I'm not the image guy. Like I
Who's
appreciate
that?
them.
No, but hold on. This is Andy Smith.
And you can cover it. Yeah,
Oh,
that's nice.
get out of town.
Oh, you think that's good? How about Mark Silvestri?
Oh,
And
that's kind of loose, though, man.
and last but not least, the main self, Jim Lee.
Okay,
Nice,
I'm being
nice.
told to kick you, so just
I'll
play
be
man.
visiting. I hang out with Andy. I could, if I want. Well, I hang out with Andy and Dennis at the local comic conventions, Heroes Con, the last Charlotte mini cons and stuff. I just go up there and I hang out with them, and they
They
just
both
me.
seem like really cool dudes, man.
They're just like they are. They argue and they make fun of each other back and forth, just like they do
Yeah.
on. That is not a game on YouTube. That's exactly what they're like.
I love
And
it.
this last Heroes Con, I got invited for the con party to hang out and drink beers with him and Billy.
Oh
Billy
shit!
Cucci. I've hung
Nice,
out now long enough that I consider like Billy and Fraga all buddies. Yeah,
dude. That is what's up.
it's all
Dude.
because of like Comicsgate. People complain about Comicsgate. Oh, it's this, it's that. I am buddies with guys. I mean, Andy was always in Charlotte and I could have reached out, but because of the way we're doing this now
Uh huh.
and being in his chat, he's like, come out and visit. So I did one day, and now I hang out all the time. And
That's
if I don't go, they go, where are you? You know?
Oh, I know. I mean, that was back the way it was back in the mid '90s, because I was always at the cons and everything like that. I remember running into. Okay, you always heard the story about the Denny's with Rob and all them.
Yeah.
I was at the Denny's with Rob and all them when that happened.
Too
Nice.
cool.
So
Too cool.
and so I had a good friend, and his cousin was married to Jaime Mendoza, who inked a lot of stuff for Extreme and for DC Comics back in the '90s.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's how I got to meet everybody and how I got to meet like Michael and all them. So I became real good friends with Michael, and he got me 3 shots at Top Cow, but this didn't work out. I ended up going to Japan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I went over there for a while and worked.
I had in the later 90s, 95 to 2000, 2001, we used to go and sit at tables at comic conventions.
Uh-huh.
That's when we worked for this, what was it, Andromeda Comics. He published a comic #1, and I was teaching art and working at an art store, and his kids were working at, they don't even have this store anymore, Caldors. It's kind of like what Target is now.
Mm-hmm.
And this kid comes by, he goes, "Oh, you want to ink me? Here's a page." He just gives me a page out of issue 2. He didn't care. He did the whole thing himself. He didn't know what he was doing. He colored the whole thing with Prismacolor markers on original artwork. He would letter it. He put like, I would have a little dot above it, like it would go. And then he said, "Yeah, sure." So I inked the page. He goes, "Oh, you want to do it?" And I met this writer, and we were hanging out at a Comic-Con up in Ramapo, New York. I was sitting next to Dave Cockrum.
Oh,
And and another guy said, "Hey, you guys want to do it like, an old school type of art story?" So we came up with Captain Courage and Johnny Halo.
yeah.
And it was about an 8-page story. It was a 7-page. It was an 8-page story. You need one more page. I put a poster out. I'm not even crazy for it because I did a lot of mid shots because I was interpreting this guy's. Maybe for the first time, I was really interpreting this guy's writing.
Uh-huh.
Instead of really zooming the camera in and out. There's some parts of it I like. And it got colored. Never colored until lately. And then I came up with Kitty. I said I need a third character. And all the bad girls were happening, like she and all that,
Mm-hmm.
So I made Kitty Nova,
That's a cool name.
stripper with a heart of gold. I almost sued Lopez.
What?
Look,
Why would you use such a
Kid
thing?
Carter, Kitty Nova, Galactic Rangers. I came up with that in 1995, buddy.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
like
laugh.
me and Omega
There's
Mission.
always a bubble helmets girl,
Oh, I'll tell you the thing. I was with Kelsey Shannon. So Kelsey actually lived like 3.5 miles from me,
Mhm.
and we had, we're both in Texas. I'm still in Texas. He's not there anymore, but we ended up hooking up with Brian Polito and Stephen Hughes for a con,
Oh,
and
okay.
that was a freaking trip, man. They taught me and Kelsey so much about comic book business and everything.
R.I.P. Stephen Hughes.
Yeah. Oh, Stephen was the man. He was so fun.
That was one of the first comic book artist deaths that I became aware of. It really kind of broke my heart, dude, because I've always been a huge fan of Lady Death, and I was, you hear about stuff like that, and it just kind of breaks your heart.
I'll tell you the one that really got me because I knew him was on Michael Turner's when he passed. I knew he was sick. I knew how bad.
Him, and I think it wasn't.
Yeah, you knew him
he
personally.
passed.
So
Mike
that's really
Marino
sad.
died too.
Well, him, I'll see, and then Scott Clark, on the motorcycle accident.
Yeah. Oh, that's how he died. I never knew about that.
Yeah, he had a motorcycle accident.
I knew he passed, but I didn't know how.
Yeah.
That was another early loss, man. That was a huge blow. That dude was crazy talented. Well, shit, they all are. It's not like there's just one that is.
Well, and here's the thing: it's like Brett Booth. So Brett Booth, if you don't know, he was working at Lone Star Comics in Fort Worth,
Oh, okay.
and Jim picked him up through the DFW Summer Comic Con
Uh-huh.
because that con happened like the next week after San Diego.
Yeah.
It'd be here in Dallas, so that's how he got picked up. But he was over there at that Lone Star Comics over there on South Fort Worth for a long time.
I come very close to being part of Wildstorm. Very close. If I hadn't had to go out to sea and go on the Westpac, I probably would have been there.
I was going to go work for Jim. I did. I really liked Jim back then.
Yeah, what happened, I came out of school in 88, right? And I went up to Marvel for for an interview because my friend was a Romita Raider who really worked for Don Perlin, and then Don Perlin he liked the work well enough, you know.
Yeah.
But he goes, "Oh, you're not quite ready. You got to do this." And he didn't like that I went to school of visual arts. He was really mad because his son went and his son came out of it not really knowing how to draw. So he had something against the school of visual arts.
Yeah.
So that I didn't, and it was just an intern job. So then I didn't get that. And that's the other thing. Since it was an intern job, could I really afford it? If it was minimum wage. It's like $5.25 an hour, and you got to travel into New York City by train every day. You know.
When was this? The 90s?
How much? Wait, $5.25 and 88. I was getting $3.25.
I think in New York it was $5.25, something like that.
Yeah, it
didn't change for a long time, though, to be honest with you. So, like, could I really afford to take that job regardless, even though, you know, it was the important job? But I didn't get it. And then, you know, I started working at art stores and doing classes and different things. You know, I talked again on the phone at Valiant because I talked to Stan Drake liked my work, but it's all before that open hiring of every single person. Like, we need more artists. We need artists. We know they all left for Image. Now Marvel needs artists. Now DC needs artists. It was before all that. And then I'm like 5 years before that. So I'm trying to draw this like John Buscema, right?
Yeah.
John Romita, Jack Kirby. I know you guys appreciate it, but I'm not trying to draw it, even though I bought all the comics by Todd McFarlane and Rob and all that. You know, my friend was working at Marvel when Rob did X-Force and that New Mutants Annual, and they would talk about behind their back. They'd be like, "This is crap. We don't know why the kids love this." They redrew the Raiders pretty much redrew the whole New Mutants Annual. You know, I'm not cracking on Rob. I'm just reporting what happened.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I had heard stories. So,
and, you know, but you know, Bob Harris loved them, and he sold a ton of comics for good reason. I work with kids that age, and they love that. They loved it. And they loved not just Rob. They loved Jim Lee, and they loved Mark Spezia. They like John Romita Jr. They loved the guys who pushed that envelope at that time. But it changed enough for me to feel like my old style wasn't really going to cut. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I tried to, you know, and you kept showing work. And so one time, it's the last Comic-Con they had at Jacob Javits Center, like 1995. I was supposed to meet a friend of mine, never met him. And I was showing work to the guy who works at Marvel now. I guess it's Harris. And I did all this. I was working with some other guy. We do time travel. I did a double page spread. And I made I did all the different things with the panels and all that. And the guy told me this. He said, you know, when you're really trying to get work, you should really just do the 6-panel grid like Jack Kirby did. And then I'm older than he is, so I was like, are you kidding me? This is what I've done 100 times, and you're telling me on this? And I walked away from him, and that was it. I said, I'm not showing work to these morons again.
Yeah.
The same decision.
You think that's bad? Try Neil Adams.
Oh, I knew about him, yeah.
I heard he ripped people new one every chance he got.
Oh, I've got a Neil Adams story for you. This happened to me. So it's 1988. I'm fixing to go to the Army. I had just won state competition for architectural general drafting designs in high school. Mm-hmm. And so my cousins who live in New York brought me up there. So I was showing my uncle who was an architect and like that. And so they dragged me to the comic book convention, the Big Apple Comic Con. Mm-hmm. I had never been to a comic book convention like that, and my cousins dragged my portfolio with me. So all I had, this is the books. I had the Alpha Flights by Jim Lee. I had the books from Neil Adams when he released for Ra's al Ghul. Mm-hmm. That was the only books I had. And I had seen Jim Lee's Alpha Flights, and I was starting to draw people. And my anatomy sucked so bad. I already knew it. So I'm standing in line to get the book signed by Neil Adams, just to get the book signs. And he ripped the living hell out of the guy in front of me. I mean, just, oh my God. And I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, So I get up there and I hand him the books to sign. And I got, the big black briefcase portfolio thing.
Yeah.
And he goes, you want to show him your portfolio? And I was like, no.
Yeah, pass on
So
that one, buddy.
hold on. So my cousins are sitting there. They were like, no, you got to show it to him. You got to show it to him. And I was like, so he was like, okay, I want to see this. So he opened it up, and it's all so I had the schematic completely drawn of an A10 and an F15, the engine breakdowns, the whole thing. And he doesn't say a effing word. He's just going through the pages. I mean, he's just sitting there studying everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then he looks at me and he goes, "You want to draw comic books?" And I said, "No, I want to work for Skunk Works." And he put everything back into it. He handed it back to me and he said, "Good luck." And then I found out that he had background in general drafting golf, though.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know that, but that's all he said. And everybody's looking at me like, "You got to be kidding me!" No chew out. No, this sucks. This. All he said was "good luck." And so I walked down the hall, the alleyway and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I come across Jim Lee. Now this is when Jim Lee wasn't getting swamped by everybody in the kitchen sink. And so I talked to him. I get the Alpha Flight signed. This is the first time meeting. And I'm asking him, how does he do his anatomy? And I was showing him, I showed him my architecture stuff. And then I showed him my really bad sketches of people.
Mm-hmm.
And he took out some Post-it notes.
Bad sketches of people.
They were bad, dude. These things were so bad. I mean, I admit I was terrible. I had only been drawing people for like 6 months. Everything I drew was, airplanes, buildings, that stuff. So he was like, no, you need to, he was doing the dynamic, anatomy where the spine works. And he was showing me how to do the chest and how to do the hips.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, he gave me like a 20-minute session of, here, do you want to do this? So I've got all these little Post-it notes. Didn't sign them or anything, but I've got them still to this day. And I always use those as references to look at from here on.
So
I met Jim several times. And now that I'm a shareholder, I get to meet him as a shareholder. So,
and never met Jim. Like when I was going to a lot of cons, that was when I was in high school. So then there was a big gap, and in college I went to a couple, but I didn't go to a whole lot.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to sit in Artist Alley, watch Bob Layton draw. I bought a Bob Layton cover from him. Bill Sienkiewicz was really young, guys like that. Brent Anderson, and I wouldn't say a word to him. I'm not a shy guy, but I was shy around those guys. So,
Yeah.
Later, I was sitting behind the table. I'm sitting next to Steve Lieber one time.
Oh, nice.
And now we're BSing with these guys, before these guys got big. Because after the Jacob Javits Center, the union, now they have the Big Apple Comic-Con back at Jacob Javits Center. But back then, there was a big dispute with the unions, and they shut it down. It got snowed out, and then they shut it down.
Hmm.
And then they started having it, the same guys, Carbonaro and stuff, having it in the basement of a church in New York, I think on 7th Avenue. And we used to go like every other month.
Well, you got to con wherever you can, man.
And that's the Big Apple Con. Now it's back where it's supposed to be. Michael Carbonaro ran, Vincent Cerzullo ran it. I didn't know him that well. My writer knew him a little better because he was making the deals. So we were sitting there and we would go to the copy machine and we get prints of all the work and people would walk past us and all, like, because we're morons, right? We're just there. And he said, we got to publish if we want to keep getting, and they wanted to give us free tables because they wanted to fill up this con.
Yeah.
Right.
Then Gil Kane would be at it, Jim Steranko, and they'd be in another room. And we decided that we needed to publish a comic. So we published half a comic, which I have, and some CGers have because I started giving it away because I thought we had tons of them. We own none of them. I have like 6. And I did 2 8-page stories. One I inked, one another guy inked with a felt tip, apparently, Nasser Subashi. And we waited. Talk about late. We waited for that 8-page story. And we waited. And we waited. And it was all on the strength that when the first 8-page story we did, I do a lot of 8-page stories, of Captain Courage and Johnny Halo, the publisher came to us and said, how would you like to help me get Rich Buckler and Joe Sinnott to do the cover? Right?
That would be cool.
With our characters, my characters. And it's in comics.org, the Grand Comics. It's officially, diamond and everything. Sam Glansman, the famous war artist, is also in that comic. And we said, sure. And the price I think that we paid was like each of us like $200 each or $150 or something. I don't even remember. Like you think of it now, it'd be thousands, but it was nothing. And they did the cover, and he did it.
Hail, sir.
Hey, Michael Bancroft.
So, fellas,
Hey, Mike.
How you doing?
I'm just
Jack
in between a few
Kirby.
things here, so I thought I'd pop in and say hello.
Well, hello.
I'll never stop talking, so this is how it goes. I'm a talker. So this is the cover. If you guys can
Lawrence?
see this.
Yo, Bancroft, your sketch cards are killing, man.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if I want to talk to somebody from out of country though.
Hold up again, Mark.
I can put on an accent so it feels a bit more natural.
Let's see. We got Don's got the Southern accent. I got the New York accent, although I don't hear it. We got the-
You all
Tell
have
me I got
accents
an
to
accent.
This is the cover that Rich Buckler did, and Joe Sinnott.
Hang on, let me make it big for you.
I can link it to you. And you can, but if you
Ooh, nice.
I don't have a great setup.
Nice.
So that I got a copy of the pencils and I re-inked this. I don't have the original. Rich had it, and we spent an evening in Rich Buckler's studio. We met all these guys, and Nasser was one of his assistants, and he inked that first story that we published. And
Very cool.
he said he really had a great time because it was the first time in a long time he did his Kirby style. He was super happy, and they always talk about Rich Buckler swiping. While I was there, he was lightboxing a Kevin Nolan face.
Damn.
Since it was the 90s, all he had was big boob porn magazines, and he was lightboxing Kevin Nolan. A fascinating guy. Fascinating.
As much as I love and respect Kirby, I just can't draw like that guy.
I can. I love to draw. I mean, this is what happens. I draw the way I draw. I don't try to affect the style. But if I wanted to do Kirby, I could do Kirby.
Well, I wish I could say that, man, because when I first started really trying to become a comic book artist, I was like the Jim Lee clone. I wanted to draw like that man so bad. You guys were telling con stories earlier. Let me share mine.
Everyone was.
So my first con, I think it was 92. It was right before I went underway, Westpac. And my buddy Jeff Montgomery, he was on the boat with me. He's like, take your portfolio, man. Take your portfolio. And I'm like, dude, I'm not there yet, man. I just started getting back into art and everything. He goes, take your damn portfolio. I'm like, all right, F it. So I took my little bullshit portfolio. And I go in there, and Marvel had their sign up. He's like, go to Marvel. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. I'm nowhere near ready for this kind of stuff. I mean, I'm still copying Jim Lee poses and
Yeah,
Tom
but you know what?
McFarlane.
So many
I'm
of those-
literally taking panels out of their books and
So many of
redrawing.
those guys, that's all they did was copy pat.
And I went over, and it was Ralph Macchio, not the actor.
I know, yeah, the editor. I know what you're talking about.
And
I know what you're talking about too.
there
I know
was really
everything.
no line. I just kind of walked up to him and, told him who I was, handed it to him. And Jeff's over there. He's talking to some chick. This was before cosplay, but he was talking to some chick. And so dude starts looking at my stuff, and he's just kind of, and he's not really enthralled or excited or anything. And then I had done that famous Wolverine pose that Jim Lee had in the books where dude's coming at you and the claws are like this and the mask's kind of half off and everything. And he looked at that and he goes, all right, that's enough. So he slides it back over to me. And he goes, let me tell you something, son. What's your name? So I says, Don Edwards. He goes, Don Edwards, I'm going to leave you with just this little bit of advice. He goes, keep drawing. You're not there yet. You might be there in maybe 5 years. And just know this. There's already a Jim Lee. We don't need another one.
I don't know about that.
Be a Don Edwards. Don't be a Jim Lee.
And yet,
No.
Jim Lee,
You think-
Do now,
think-
yeah.
Jim Lee-
You think
That's really
that's bad,
that
Don?
wasn't a bad critique.
You think that's bad, Don? My name, okay, legally wise, I can go by Jim Lee.
You should
Try
go.
that at 17, 18 years old going through a comic book convention, and
Literally Jim Lee.
your name is Jim Lee, but you're not the other Jim Lee. You talk about getting a what the hell?
Well, it's not an unknown name. I mean,
No,
No,
it's
it's
a
not.
pretty common name, but the problem is in the comic book business, It's a death sentence.
Yeah, no, I realize that. Yeah.
That sentence?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll tell you exactly what happened with me in DC Comics. I sent my stuff in. They said, this is fantastic and everything, but we can't use you because of your name.
Oh, I see.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
see. That
I
makes
Yeah.
sense. I guess you're right.
Yeah. So that's why I predominantly now go by James,
Yeah.
so I can
Well-
distinguish myself from him. But yeah, I got crucified. Like, that's why I went over. That's why I went over to Japan. I went to Japan and I made a great, money wise. I stayed over there for about 7 years.
My son's been to Japan twice, mostly on his own dime and once for school. But
Oh,
he's on
Japan-
the West Coast, so it doesn't cost as much airplane.
Japan's great. I love it.
Yeah,
I was
he
there.
loves it.
I was there in January. So, yeah, Japan is fantastic.
Yeah, he loves it.
I've been
He
to
loves
Singapore. Does that count?
Japan. He
Yeah,
wants to go-
that counts. I just never been there.
This
I mean,
is a
it wasn't
small
like I went
world.
by choice.
He's
The
a
closest.
my son's a vet student at Davis, and there they have to do. He went to UCLA. This is why I'm broke, Don. I went to UCLA, and then he went to Davis. My other student son went to an expensive school. It's all working out for them, and
Right.
so they have to do internships. It's like, but they call it externships. So he's going to a San Diego zoo for 4 weeks, and eventually he does want to get one in Singapore. He can't wait. So I'll contact everybody to see if there's anything he should watch out for.
Like I said, I've never been to Singapore. The closest I got was Hong Kong.
Oh, I've been to Hong Kong, dude. Oh man, have I been to Hong Kong?
Did
I
you
can't talk about it, but I've been there.
did
Oh,
you
I
go
can-
with
Right
Tim
down,
Walls?
baby.
What was that?
You go with Tim Walls?
No.
I went on the USS Halsey.
Well, that
Party time, baby. Party time. Back before they went total red.
I was kidding.
No, I put it like, dude, I've been there since they went red, dude. It's still freaking awesome. And I'll tell you, I've been to Macau, and I've been to Beihai, and I've been to Guangzhou.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been all over China.
I've
That's
been
really cool.
everywhere, man.
Right?
And then of course there's the infamous
Yeah.
Korea that sucks like Jesus
Don't
Oh,
talk to me
Christ.
about Korea, dude. South Korea sucks balls.
Dude, smells like diesel everywhere you went. Freaking cold
Oh
as hell.
yeah, dude. It's horrible, dude. Well, back then it was. We're
Yeah,
talking
no, I'm talking about back then too. I was like
94. That's when
Nope,
I was there, 93, 94, 95.
88
Oh,
to
God.
92, man.
And the way they build their houses, dude. You go down the Ville, and they're like right at the edge of the road. Like
Same thing in
literally, there's
dude,
no
there's-
shoulder. There's road, house.
Yeah, same thing in Japan, man. There's
Trying to drive in a
no.
Humvee up and down them roads, I hit an Odyssey or something, man. It's almost impossible.
Oh yeah, I know. Oh yeah.
And they were like, "We want you to drive the
No.
battalion commander around." I'm like, "No. I purposely failed my driving test 3 times just so I wouldn't have to do it."
Nope. No.
No, thank you. No, thank you. So, Bancroft, what are you doing right now, man? Besides being bored to tears.
I am working on Fractured Mind. I'm doing plating on Rod's pages,
Mhm.
which is always a little, flatting is always a little mind numbing, but it's got to
God,
be
yes.
done.
Flatting.
So
Ugh.
it's one of those things. Not
One of those
super
necessary
exciting.
evils. Got to be done.
Exactly. Yeah. It's it's part of the comic book making process. Kenneth Rocafort is doing it right now on Groken 3, so even the very best.
Is he or is he eating that sandwich?
Well, he says he is. He says he's 60%. He's a bit like me. He doesn't find it easy, I think, to hand over his baby that he really cares about to anyone else. So I understand. I understand that. Like I've tried hiring flatters before, and I just have never been happy.
I can't do it.
So
I'm too much of a control freak.
yeah, and it's like, well, why am I paying someone to do something that I can do myself? I know I could probably use the time, but whatever. At least I know I'll be 100% happy with it.
How hard is it?
And even then, you won't be happy with it.
It's not hard. It's just time consuming, and I like.
How were the people like not providing? Because I mean, it just seems like such a easy task to do. Like,
Well, it's more about there's different levels to it. And if you've got really detailed art, it's a lot to ask someone to flat. It's like imagine you've got a page with hundreds and hundreds of books on it,
right?
And you say to them, "Oh yeah, I want each one of them individually."
Imagine you had to flat Art Adams' colossal piece.
Yeah.
Exactly, and they're like, "No, I'm not doing that for $20 and $15." Like, well, yeah, that's what
You
I
might
want.
walk away semi-insane, partially blind.
Yeah, it's a draw-tist thing, I think.
Right.
Oh yeah, dude. Some of those ones you post on the art stream, when you show on the art stream, the precision line work is just effing mind-boggling.
Yeah, I found a new one this week. It's from a guy who's already been inducted, but still, it's a new piece, and it is just crazy.
So
It's
he's going for the
insanity.
Hall of Fame, of what you're saying, right?
Yeah, some of them are. Yeah, some of them take it so far to the extreme, it's ridiculous.
Sometimes I find myself getting into a bit of a draw stream vibe, and draw autism rather, and then I zoom back out, and I realize this is like the size of a thumbnail. What am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm wasting time. Nobody
did that
cares
on my
how many
first
strands of
book a
hair
lot.
that guy has.
Right.
I did the exact same thing on my first one, and then when it printed, I was like, oh, none of that detail even printed. So that was a big waste of time.
It's very sad. Spend all that time, and you back away from it, you're like, damn it, I just wasted 2 hours of my life.
Yeah, unless this thing is printing it,
right,
poster size, you're not going to be able to see any of this.
Yeah, well, that's why they used brushes years ago. The old comics in the 60s, 70s used big, thick brushes so they could see all that stuff. The printing was so poor, and I think it's ironic that some of the people, I want to go back to the 70s and a newsstand, a newsprint. And when I was reading those comics, everybody couldn't wait to get better printing. They couldn't wait to have clearer, better paper so you could see all the lines that they draw. And now everybody wants to go back to that because it's too bright.
And it's also cheaper to print.
Not anymore.
I don't think anything's cheap anymore.
Yeah, because the newsprint is niche now. It's actually like considered a specialty paper. So
we all have Pete Samedi to thank for that.
Yeah.
But even his newsprint isn't quite the same. It's whiter.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not like the old X-Men from the early '90s, '88 and stuff, where you had really good artwork, but the paperwork, and then if you look at the artwork today, because I saw one of Scott Williams, he was showing this artwork. He was like going, you can tell we used Sharpie on inks because the Sharpie's turning, the color's turning.
Yeah.
He was like, man, we just had bad stuff back then.
I can't believe that they use Sharpies.
Oh, have you seen X-Men 275, the big one with all the blue suits with the.
Sure, I got that.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever seen the original artwork to that?
No, I don't think I have.
The bottom 2 inches of that artwork is nothing but whiteout. But they had to go back in and retouch up all the feet.
Whiteout, I understand. The Sharpies, when we were in school, I had one of the teachers with Joe Orlando, the old EC artist. He worked with Wally Wood, and he was the big wig editor and vice president of DC Comics. And one kid was doing a lot of manga, because even back in the late 80s.
Oh yeah, manga was rocking.
My buddy was doing it, and he comes in, and they had a standing, and we had like a 4-hour break in class, so we all did our homework in between. And he came in, and he had done all his homework on Sharpie. He always used a Sharpie, And Joe Orlando goes, "This is okay, but we use real art tools." And we all cracked up. That was like the big thing. Use real art tools. Nobody ever used a Sharpie again.
Don't use that fake Sharpie crap. What do
Yeah,
you
but
mean?
when you listen to like Scott Williams, he was like going, "Yeah, Sharpie, we use those all the time." I was like going, "Really?"
I thought they looked cool.
Well, the thing was when you were broke, Sharpies came in real handy.
Yeah.
Well, I remember, I
A lot
remember
cheaper
the
than freaking bottles of ink.
some of the rendering on the Silvestri stuff. I mean, like, definitely had to be a pen or a Sharpie.
Oh yeah,
And whenever I saw Jim Lee, like the first time I saw Jim Lee do it, by hand with a Sharpie, I was all like, man, that's super cool.
yeah. Oh yeah, Jim used to use Sharpies all the time.
John Byrne inked a lot of his Fantastic Four with a Sharpie.
Sharpies
Like
are
the second half, yeah.
when you were in a bind and you ain't got no money. Sharpies save your bacon.
Well, they're different now because they don't brown out, they don't purple out or brown out anymore.
Yeah, but like
Yeah,
I said,
ink.
back then
But back
they
then,
did.
yeah.
But that's all
Did
you
they
had.
correct the formula?
I think they did.
Well, also remember back in the day, I mean, a long time ago, all this original art was just production art.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
really
true.
care about it. It was just
Oh, that reminds me. So, who was it? Was it Wrightson that caught it? Yeah. So, New York Comic Con, Wrightson had done some page work for, I think it was Marvel, and the Comic Con was like 3 weeks later, and he found his artwork that he had just done there. Somebody from Marvel was selling the artwork.
What?
He blew a gasket.
I would too.
Oh
Or
yeah.
would I?
Well, they used to use in the 40s if they spilled coffee or something, they just use the old artwork to wipe it up.
Oh,
Have you seen
Jack
seen
Kirby, Will
pictures
Eisner,
of
They didn't
DC
care
Comics?
one whit about the
No.
art.
yeah, it was just
Did you see where they worked at in DC Comics in the 40s?
what, New York?
Yeah, when they were in New York. Yeah, but did you see where they worked at?
No.
The actual room. It was a boiler room, and the guys sat around the boiler with the wooden drawing tablets with the pages on top of that drawing in that room. They were all, I mean, it was one of the most, I was like, holy crap. Nobody, I mean, it was like, because back then comic book art wasn't they were seen as a downgrade, the worst of the worst.
yeah.
The only guy
Yeah.
who kept Will Eisner kept all his work, all his art.
Smart man.
I mean, it's crazy how much time and effort they put into it just to discard it.
Yeah.
But it was the same in like TV as well. All the old famous shows, those old sets, they just went into the dumpster outside the lot, and in came the new show. Whereas
That's true.
now
Well-
people would kill to have some of that old stuff.
Here's the other thing. Back in the 90s, you could buy Turner's work. You could buy all the stuff from Extreme for like below $100 a page.
Dude.
And I bought several that were like $25.
Damn.
Crazy. It
When I
doesn't
was-
even compute nowadays.
When I was at going to comics, if I would go back, I went to collect comics when I went to Comic Cons when I was in high school. They would have artists like John Byrne would have stacks of art next to him, and you turn over for the price $20, $15, $25.
Yeah, I know.
I
That's
bought
what
a
I'm saying.
cover of Iron Man from Bob Layton, the famous Iron Man run, for $45.
Get out of here. Are you
No, he's
serious?
serious.
Brent Anderson had another thing that was $90, and I thought that was too much. And then another con, I bought a page from Kerry Gamble, and Iron
Kerry
Fist.
Gamble.
Now it had like cuts on it and yellowed out, word balloons and stuff. It
Yeah.
was I think it was $12.
Oh man, Kerry Gamble. I can tell you some good
And
stories
you could
about
get
that
it.
man.
You could go back now. I sold that Iron Man like 15 years ago on eBay for like 10 times $45. 100 times. It went on an auction. I don't know
Back-
what it's worth now.
back in the 90s, I would see Kerry Gamble like once a week.
Oh yeah, in
And-
Texas, I'm sure.
Well, no,
He's a nice guy.
I live in Arlington. He lives in Fort Worth. He's only like 15 minutes from me.
Right.
And
What an
what he would used to do. He was the guy that was behind the once a month, one day shows at the Sheridan
Hmm.
for local comic shops to get rid of their books and stuff. So he would always be there. So I would go up there every once a month, seeing him, and let him look at my artwork. I always had stuff for him to sign, and I always plugged him for what do you think what I'm doing right? What do you think I'm doing wrong? And he would sit there and he'd tell me how to fix stuff. Great guy. I mean, just one of the best guys ever, nicest guy in the world. I have no complaints about him. Man, just to say, the artist for Superman who did the covers for Superman and stuff would give me, man, he was fantastic.
I don't know about you guys, but when all this stuff was more affordable, I mean, I was like 12, 13.
Yeah, but
Yeah, you're younger than
If it was $150 for a piece of art or whatever, that may as well have been 10,000. I mean, that was just never
Well,
gonna happen.
well, when I went, I'm really old. Like I'm like
I'm the-
only 1 year younger than Lopez. So
dude. I'm 53. I'm the same age as Michael Turner and a bunch of other guys.
and
So-
I used to save up money to buy to fill in the holes for my comic, whether by working or saving my lunch money or whatever, to go to the convention. So I go to the convention at $100 or something, and you could buy a lot of comics for $100 at that time.
Mhm.
But in retrospect, I should have bought original art, right?
Yeah.
And the comics
Look
are
how
worth-
much
We
cheaper
should
it
have
was
bought a lot of
to go to
stuff.
Yeah, look how much cheaper it was to go to a convention back then. I went to the
Oh,
San
yeah,
Diego
no.
Comic Con, the empire of all the Comic Cons now. I went there and I think it was 92. It didn't even cost me $25 for a 3-day pass.
Yeah,
Oh,
now it's freaking ridiculous.
Try doing that now. Yeah.
I remember the first time I
it's so ridiculous.
first convention I went to, and I thought I was rich. I showed up with $20.
Oh no! Like I said, the first
Oh,
I didn't have the
oh,
first
man.
convention I went to. I was mooching off my cousins.
Yeah.
Well, even back then, my cousins were huge comic book collectors. They had a whole basement full of comic books. They were boarding and bagging books back then, and I mean they had. And you have to understand, my cousin's dad was like really rich. I mean, he was smoking rich. So they had early 40s Batmans and Supermans and stuff. So they knew what they were doing. And I really wasn't into I didn't really get into buying comic books till about, I'd say 87. And then it wasn't until I got home from Korea, like 92, that I really went nuts on my collection.
I always been into comics. Just I never really wanted to do them until let me see. I saw the Jim Lee X-Men. I was in Hawaii. I saw number 1, number 2, number 3. They were on a spinner rack. I was on Liberty, saw those, and I was blown the F away, dudes. Blown away. Because the last thing I had seen, I don't want to say the comic book art from back in the day was silly, but it was, not as detail oriented as what that was, right? I saw that and I was just immediately motivated. I wanted to start drawing all over again.
Yeah.
And it just kind of spun out from there. I rediscovered Art Adams, got heavily into Todd McFarlane. Joe Mad came along. I mean, I'm a child of the 90s comic art scene. And ever since then, man, it's what I've been doing. Love it. Love it to death.
Mm.
Yeah.
I wish crowdfunding was around when I was really doing comics.
Oh,
We
God.
definitely-
I wish social media was around back then. Because I
That's
guarantee you,
true.
back then in the 90s, we would have social media like YouTube and stuff. A lot of the independent books that were around would have been blowing out the doors. One was Arachnus by the Ortiz brothers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That book was
That's
anything
always
as
been
good.
It never got the love it deserved.
That book was as good as anything Image was putting out. And they just never could get a niche to where it would take off.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And if they had had social media like we have right now, they'd have been millionaires. That book would have been huge. I have every issue of Arachnus, every one of them.
Can you
And-
imagine how big something like Evil Ernie would have been back in the day?
It was
Evil
big.
Ernie was big back then.
Yeah, but I mean,
No,
that
I'm
was
talking about.
because Wizard shouted it out quite a bit, so we got a little bit of glean off of that. But I mean,
Yeah.
can you imagine
Oh yeah,
if he had the tools
look
that
at
we got
she.
today?
Look at she. She got big, but can you imagine what it would have been like if he had the
Oh.
social media today?
Billy would be king boss up
That's
in
what
the
I'm saying.
house.
The whole thing, social media changed everything.
Oh yeah. It also made it a lot harder to get into the mainstream too, because there's just so many people vying for that spot. So I guess you could say it
Good
was
and bad.
a lot of good, a lot of bad, but it also weeds out the boys from the men, so to speak.
Yeah, but like I published a comic. It was 16 pages, black and white, one color cover. We sold it for $1.25,
What?
$1.
Not
Most of the times you can
variants?
deal with a
What's wrong with
quarter. If it was crowdfund, it would have been a real comic. It was just something we could sell at cons.
We'll see.
Like a business card.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see
Now you get that same idea. Now that's a 64-page comic that you worked on the better part of a year, right?
Yeah.
Actually, that was the advice a lot of people would give each other in the indie set. They would say, back in the day, you want to be taken seriously, and you try to get some kind of attention from the mainstream. Do ash cans of a comic,
That's what it was. Yeah.
10, 15 pages, throw it together, staple it, do it yourself. You get a lot of recognition that way. And there was a lot of ash cans that went around too.
See,
It was.
when we started doing
Not all
our
good either.
and this is with Kelsey Shannon and everybody. When we started doing our ash cans, we actually got a printing school in Dallas to do it for us because their students were learning how to bind and everything.
You were looking for free labor, dude.
Yeah, exactly. It was free labor. The only thing was
Kinko's like everybody else.
the only agreement was we had to pay. I think we had to pay $500, and each student got signed copies and stuff. So we were like, yeah, no problem. And we got those, and we couldn't keep them on the table. And then that's how Kelsey got picked up. Kelsey got picked up. Oh, who was the company? I can't remember the first company he got picked up with, but he took off, and then he went to work with the Ortiz brothers on Arachnus. And then he really went off with some other people because that's when I lost touch with him, because he went off, and then I went to Japan because I got picked up.
Worked on Arachnus.
Yeah, he worked on Arachnus #3. Yeah.
Man, I'm like ignorant.
So I still have a couple pages that he inked for me. So, but what happened with me was there was a professional wrestler named Sap, and he was in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he was here in Dallas, and he needed some T-shirts, so I did his T-shirts for him, and he took them back to Japan, and a lot of the wrestlers liked the T-shirts, so they contacted me to see if I wanted to do their T-shirts for them. Well, back then, if you tried to mail something to Japan, it takes 6 months to get there. So they decided it'd be cheaper just to fly me over there so I could work over there. So I went over there working on T-shirts for New Japan Pro Wrestling. And dude, they paid me so good. Oh my God. That was money. Woo boy. Helped me buy my house.
Right?
Huh?
Even with the conversion?
Yeah. Well, the conversion was a lot better. I mean, conversion back then was like 110 to 115 yen.
That ain't bad.
So no, it's almost 1 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like 150 to 1.
Yeah, I remember going to the Philippines. $20, dude. You can live like a king, bro.
Dude,
Like a king.
A friend of mine is still over in Japan. He was like going, dude, do you want a house? I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, there's 2 houses by me. They're 1,200 square feet each. And I was like, well, how much are they? He goes, American dollars? I said, yeah. He goes, one's $5,000, one's $7,000. I was like, you fucking.
Wow.
I know, dude. I know.
I was like, holy shit. I was like, where are these? He goes, well, these are out in the country. I was like, what's going on? He goes, well, everybody that's out in the country are elderly and they're all dying off, or the kids don't want the houses, so they just dump them, and then the county takes them over and sells them for little or nothing.
Yeah.
And he's like, he goes, man, you can get a house, a really big one, like 3,000 square feet for like $27,000.
There's a dude. on YouTube.
Korea's set to lose 90% of its population.
Oh, Japan's having well, Michael knows about this. because Japan's 28% down on population births.
Mhm.
Korea is what, 35%, Michael?
Yeah, and
There's like-
it's accelerating too. It's
Yeah,
not. They thought it would like
Level
even
out,
out.
but still going down.
It's not.
What did they say in Korea? There's 30% of the female population over the age of 35 are single and basically living kind of in poverty because they didn't want to get married. I watched the whole thing. I know all about it.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, in France, obviously not exactly the same, but it's sort of like in Italy as well, where you've got for a house. I mean, our houses are crazy expensive because we're in the exact opposite situation in Australia, where we have too few houses and too many people.
Mhm.
So your average suburban house here is like $1 to $2 million,
Mhm.
and and our wages are lower than American. So if you didn't get on the property ladder 10, 15 years ago, you're never getting on it, essentially. And
That's crazy.
and
It's not that much different here.
yeah, in certain areas, absolutely. But the difference is in the States, you have small towns
That's
everywhere,
true.
whereas we don't have that. We have 7 cities, and that's it. And
But
but
guys, it's okay. We've forgiven so much student debt in the last 3.5 years.
yeah, in France, there's all these villages that have been abandoned. Not abandoned, but like people just don't want to live there anymore.
Well, yeah, I see the videos all the time.
Yeah, so
You know,
you can buy an actual
Giant
Right.
chateau.
exactly.
Yeah,
for-
I saw the videos for those.
Oh, my.
They're like, well, we're talking like 3 or 4 story chateaus with like 6, 7 bedrooms for like what was it, $75,000?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It depends on sort of what state of decay they're
Decatur
in.
and
Yeah. And if they're okay, you still might spend $1 million, but you'll get this enormous
gigantic house.
land as well, with gardens. The only thing is, they'd be very expensive to keep up. So, but you could still get a normal house for, I don't know, 70,000, 80,000 that still looks beautiful. I mean, you got to live out in the French countryside, but
Yeah, but that's not a bad idea living in the French countryside.
I know.
I couldn't handle all that magnificent landscape. It's too much.
I have a cousin who lives in France. My first cousin lives in France. She's be coming back for a wedding. My aunt, well, pretty close to my aunt. She goes there all the time. But I think they live in Paris or right outside of Paris. So it's like the 2x2 European box stuff that you see. They have no room with the 2 kids.
Yeah.
But,
A lot of the stuff around Paris is pretty awful. It's like you feel like you're in communist Russia because like France is still very socialist. So
there's
a lot of
Oh yeah.
anything that's left up to the government is like pretty trash. But there still is tons of really nice villages around and everything.
If I was going to live anywhere in Europe, it'd probably be Liechtenstein.
Well, that's really small, isn't it? Isn't that the one that we learnt you can rent out?
No, it's the one that's still ruled by a prince. Has a complete population of the country is 35,000 people, and it's just a little bit bigger than DFW Airport. It sits between Austria, Germany, and Switzerland. The last time they went to war was World War One. They sent 82 soldiers out, and they got 83 back.
Somebody defected.
Yeah. Not only that, so this happened in the 50s. So Switzerland, of all people, decided to invade Liechtenstein. I'm not making this up.
That was an accident, though, wasn't it?
No. This is what happened. So they come in, and Liechtenstein is saying, "What are you guys doing?" Because Liechtenstein doesn't have an army. They're like, "What are you talking about?" "Well, we use your currency, and you protect us. So why are you invading us?" "Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, we'll go home." And they turned around and went home.
Jesus.
I mean, it's the country, and the thing is, the family model household income is one of the highest in the world. It's like $190,000 a year per household.
It
and
was a
everything.
sort of bingo night, so we just decided to go ahead and invade you guys.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nothing
But
was
yeah.
on Netflix. We were bored.
It's basically the Mouse That Roars movie, the comedy with Peter Sellers.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever see it, they're making fun of Liechtenstein.
Well, I mean, come on, the name alone.
Well, the country's actually named after the ruling family.
That doesn't make it better.
Which,
Give it a cool name, like, I don't know, Donville. That's a cool name.
but yeah,
Proposed it to them.
my cousins were just there like a couple months ago visiting, and they're just like, dude, this place is. They were saying it was a dream, like a real fantasy world.
Now I'm going
Yeah.
to get all this hate mail from the viewers in Liechtenstein.
I was a big fan of Liechtenstein. I mean, growing up, seeing his work hung up and like
The artist.
and stuff. Yeah.
I wonder if it's any relation.
I knew a
Wouldn't
guy
that be
from
something
Luxembourg.
if he owned the country and nobody knew it, and he bought it from all that lousy artwork he did over the years.
Oh, wait, he really ripped off Herb Novik, John Romita Sr.,
Yeah, that's how he
a
afforded
bunch
it.
of other guys too. Al Williamson.
It's like, dude, it's expensive to get your own country in Europe. I gotta
He
make
blew them all up and said it was pop art. Oh, yeah. Romita did not have a lot of good things to say about that. He was a nice guy.
I think everybody hated that dude, except for maybe his bankers and his wife. It's like, that's all right, baby. You just keep on copying everybody. You bring home the money.
I don't think he felt it was a copy. More than likely.
Well, see, back then, I think that was before comic art became like this hugely collectible thing.
Oh, way before. Yeah, it was the 40s.
And it wasn't, they weren't at Sotheby's selling a page of Todd McFarlane Spider-Man, one page for like 1.5 million. That did not happen back then.
It goes back to that it was throwaway artwork.
Yeah. Since those days have entered into the equation, things have changed a little bit. That's why I save all my original digital art so I can print it out one day.
I wish I had some of my original art. I mean, I've got a couple pages from back then,
I do too.
but
Like, seriously, I used to draw traditionally all the time. It was lousy as hell, but I do wish I kept it.
Most of my writing partner has most of my original artwork.
let me see if I get. Let me see if I get.
There's
something.
an ex-girlfriend of mine somewhere up in Pennsylvania that has most of it.
I just did a cover
sure
for
she's burned
actually.
it.
Do you guys know the Unbreakable Argonauts?
Yeah, I've heard
I
of it.
think I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, I just did a cover for him, Ashley Land. Just DMs me one day. And I guess he's doing the Santa Claus comic you see out there. Santa Claus with the violent gun, the nuclear Santa Claus, whatever.
Mhm. Yep.
One of
And,
many.
yeah, I just did the cover for him. I got paid and everything. Somebody colored it. My work never gets colored. It's really spectacular. The coloring, forget the drawing. The drawing, he liked it, I guess. And it's going to be the cover for Argonauts magazine. I had to do it this weird size, like a little wider European size.
Is it A4 size?
Kind of those percent.
Bancroft?
Kind of
Could
those,
be.
yeah.
Going
pretty
in
much.
metric systems out there?
Yeah. Yeah, he just did it. I didn't know. I thought it was like, I'm going to give you a cover. Oh, that's nice. It's going to be the cover. I go, you've got to be kidding me. I couldn't believe it.
That's cool, though, dude. Good for
Yeah, it's
you.
pretty cool. I mean, it would have never happened if it wasn't on with John's long box all the time.
Okay.
John, that's my dude right there.
Here's some old 90s of mine. Some stuff from the 90s. So this is one I did.
I'm sometimes shouted out by Michael here, so that's super nice of you too. Thank you.
No
But-
problem.
And you just get around, and it's really a thrill. I don't know when he's gonna light by. He goes, "Do you want to sell it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care. Sure." So he's going to be on his campaign. You could buy the black and white line art eventually. I don't know when he's going to launch that. I think he's got to finish his campaign first.
But,
I never
yeah,
even talked to him. It's all by DMs on X.
Is that still crowdfunding his book? Or did he?
You
close
could
it
buy
out?
Unbreakable Argonauts on the Kindle edition on Amazon for the $6.99.
That ain't bad.
You might be able to go on Fund My Comic. I don't know if he's one of these guys who would have a store. His comic looks really good. He has some really good artists do covers and stuff. I was looking at some of the pages; are
Just
really
saying
nice.
with the crowdfunding, I'm redoing Omega Mission, right?
Yeah, I was watching that.
I got my sign up. I'm going to go live with the sign up November the 1st. So I said, this time I'm going to do both Indiegogo and Fund My Comic. And I was thinking about doing Kickstarter
Oh, we
too.
all do it Indiegogo.
Wouldn't you
anymore?
know, the next freaking day I start doing my page up, how you do it before you publish it, the sign up and everything. And I'm so proud of it. I even posted a screenshot of it. And then the whole thing with Cecil happened. And I'm like, oh shit. And then everybody's like, down with Indiegogo, down with Indiegogo. So now I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I even want to screw with it.
I have a couple of Cecil knew he would. I don't think he can be 100% personalized. If you really watched his campaign, he was pushing the envelope a little bit.
Well, he always pushes the envelope. He's Cecil.
I don't think he should have been cut out, but I feel well. And it's these guys, all the big comics all use Indiegogo. Their mailing lists are there. It's very expensive to do what Michael did or Shane. Shane built his own thing, and Eric Weathers and.
But that's really the way to do it, though. Get your own website bumper running. Reedy's doing it too, right?
Yeah, but it's true. If you're not getting the kind of like crowd, big enough crowd, you do it can become cost prohibitive. Even on Shopify, which is probably the cheapest option, you're still looking at a monthly fee. And if you want cool plugins and everything, if you're not making that in sales every month, you're losing money. So
see what people don't understand about the Comicsgate Kings is that their main job is to be an artist. They're professional comic artists. That's all they do. So they have to crowdfund the way they crowdfund so they can pay themselves their page fee and pay their bills. Right. They're not doing it. Oh, I have a 40-hour job and Rini has a job and that's why it's hard for her and she's out late all the time. So it's a little different. Like, oh, why don't they have a comic finish? Well, these guys don't want to pay the people ahead of time before they get the money because they're paying their mortgage with this instead of working for Marvel or DC, and that's what people don't really understand.
Well,
and that's why Indiegogo is such a draw because of the in demand key of Indiegogo, where they can work on the book and still collect backers until the final closeout.
Yeah. So
they can keep the Kickstarters. That's 2 months and out. I think Kickstarter just started doing in demand type of thing.
It did, yeah. It's called something else.
So I study a lot of this and think about it a lot because I wanted to do it, and now I realize I don't think I'd have time to do a real book and do it all by myself. That's for sure.
I didn't realize though the Kickstarter after you finish your campaign doesn't work exactly the same as in demand. You don't actually get the money until you turn off the campaign. So whereas with Indiegogo, you get the money and then it just goes to a storefront essentially.
So what happened to Cecil is going to be a boon to Fund My Comic.
Yeah. Because
that's going to be the obvious. Now the bigger guys are going to have to put something on Fund My Comic, and we'll see if they can do a 6-figure campaign.
Well, EVS is already talking about doing one.
Well, he never talked down Fund My Comic. He just didn't use Fund My Comic.
Right. Well, now I saw a tweet earlier today where he's actually talking about we'll try it.
He was going to put Fearsome on Fund My Comic, I think.
Mm.
So
no, not Fearsome. One of those Elephant. One of those other books that he didn't draw.
So Marcus.
Yes.
Marcus. Okay, so this is some of the stuff I did back in '97.
Oh, nice. I like that.
Let me make you big, man. Let me whisper in your ear, make you big.
So yeah, this is '97.
Wow.
And so this is one of my Batmans from '97.
That's nice. I'd like to ink that.
That's cool, man. Nice. Scarecrow, nice.
And then this is actually the submission I did for Witchblade. So this is one of the pages, and this is one of the other pages. So I only have 2 pages now. I don't know where the other 2 pages went. But this is the stuff I did for back then. So
That ain't bad. I like it.
So yeah. So like I said, I got the problem I had was until I went to James, I was basically getting shut down because they were just not willing to take a chance. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was eye opener.
Oh, hang on. My dude is in the chat, Hero Darky Dark. I'm working on a commission for him right now, so let me pop that up real quick, guys, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's what I'm working on right now. That's his character.
Nice.
I cannot think of the character's name. I'm so terrible. I do apologize, dude. But yeah, I told him I was going to be working on it during the stream, so I've been mainly working on the rocks. Freaking rocks. Oh, too much ugly again. Got to stop that. What are you doing, Don? Don't do that. Still learning the StreamYard. I wanted to come back and I wanted to do like the full-on StreamYard Pro, and then I found out they jacked their price up ridiculously.
Yeah.
So I downloaded Stream Labs, which is only like $19 a month. And I'm trying to learn that, but that's a little bit more complicated than my tiny pea brain can do right now. So I'm trying to, Zeal. His name is Zeal. There we go, right here. Boom. Look, I can make the comments come up. Ain't that cool? So, yeah. I'm just trying to learn Streamlabs.
What prompted you to jump to Shopify so quick as opposed to everybody else hanging out on Indiegogo?
Probably more control.
Well,
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say Shopify, for your personal websites works really good. Now my website's done by Wink, so they have an in-store where they can set everything up for you, where it goes straight through on your account on your website. You don't have to go through a second party.
Oh, okay.
But it's more fun to go through a second party.
When back in the day, I was doing a lot more sort of like topic shows where we're looking at crowdfunding and all that sort of stuff. So we were talking about the issues with Indiegogo really, at the very early days when they first started popping up. And like a lot of smaller campaigns are getting shadow banned. Frog G and
I remember that.
A bunch of others. And that wasn't even the first thing to happen.
It was
already behind the scenes. We had guys like Tug who'd been waiting 3 months to get paid, and Indiegogo was just stonewalling them. So there's already that happening, and so everyone was already kind of looking at Indiegogo, saying what's going on and everything, and then lots more people started to get shadow banned, and it wasn't so much that, because we could still say, oh, maybe that was just like the code is broken or something. But then everyone who contacted Indiegogo would get no response to it. So that was super fishy.
Yeah,
so
I remember that. I remember I was watching a stream. I think it was a King stream. And I'm sitting there and I had just met Andy. I just started backing books. And I realized, oh my God, Andy Smith is shadow banned. I had his number. I texted him. I had his number. I said, dude, I think you're shadow banned. And I was like one of the first ones to discover him, Graham Nolan. They all discovered on one stream that they were all shadow banned, Lopresti. And there was no reason. Those are the guys that are the least,
Exactly. Yeah.
the least guys of all time. So it's not John or Shane. Well, Shane doesn't really do it.
So I was hanging out with a bunch of dudes who had already set up their own Shopifys and had run crowdfunding-ish type things on it. Mostly like Aerith Saga and Guazine and stuff like that. All small, smaller footprint stuff. But it worked. And then Mandy did it on Stuntman Comics. And at the time, the size of her channel was about the same. We'd get similar-ish live viewers. And she did great. So I was like, well, what's stopping me? So... I wanted to do it anyway because I wanted to have a place to sell. I wanted to get off eBay where they charge you 14% fees and have a place to sell my back catalog. So I thought, well, let's give it a go. And it was, it's a cool thing to just try, and I could make some content out of it, and it ended up working out really well. And now I'm just really happy that I'm not beholden, and also very thankful to Luke and the team over at Fund My Comic, because obviously not everyone can do what I did. Because if they didn't set up Fund My Comic, a lot of people would be in a lot of trouble right now. You have no option at all.
The thing about Fund My Comic is, around that time, Billy Tucci and Niall Scott were planning to do their own like Fund My Comic type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Didn't know that.
And they rumored it. They would drop a hint here, drop a hint there, and finally Billy's like, "We can't do it. It's just we're too busy. It's impossible." For that Luke can do it and draw comics is it's astounding.
Yeah.
He's there.
Well, he does have a small team, but it is still, amazing. Yeah.
I think that everybody who's a new guy, well, now what happened with Cecil is different, but should always do a Fund My Comic, because they need that person to call up. Like when there's nobody works at Indiegogo or nobody works at Kickstarter, it's all AI companies.
Yeah, I'm definitely doing Fund My Comic without a shadow of a doubt.
Well, my experience with
Fund My
Kickstarter
Comic doesn't have the reach, and that's the issue.
My experience with Kickstarter has been decent, but I don't think it's a solution for everyone, especially if you don't have the sort of content that the Kickstarter audience want, which is very cheesecake, very sort of sexy stuff, a lot of more geared towards a manga style. And unless you're already a big name, unless you're massive, you Boom Studio,
right? That's true.
They seem to do okay. But just for your sort of average Joe who wants to make a superhero comic, it doesn't really seem to go that well over there. I mean, of course, unless you have your own audience, but that's the thing. How many people have a big YouTube audience? There's not many.
Nope.
So, I think, Fund My Comic was a godsend. And then, but for me personally, I'm just really happy I set up my Shopify, because now I just get to do whatever I want. I'm going to launch a pre-sale trading card thing in a month or so. And,
that's what's up, though, man. When you got that total control like that, that's what's up.
Exactly. And you do have to pay more fees if you do Shopify, but at the same time, you get
a lot more,
like a whole lot of security and just peace of mind that, say, Shane and Yancy don't have with their proprietary site, that they have to worry about servers and coding and all this sort of stuff that I don't really deal with at all.
Right. Yeah.
They get even more control because they're like 100% proprietary. I mean, they've built that site for themselves how they want it. It seems it's clearly doing very well for them. So,
well, it's easy enough to use. Yeah, I've backed there on their site.
Yeah, and that was very difficult, I imagine. I spoke very briefly with Yanzi about it, and she reiterated it was very difficult to set up that site to resemble the parts of Indiegogo that they wanted to. That sort of crowdfunding model, because Shopify is not set up for that. That's not what it was made for. Thankfully it's all worked out. And, I think as annoying as it is for Cecil, I think it's actually probably a good thing that someone of his notoriety was so blatantly, deleted, because it's opened a lot of people's eyes who have been kind of complacent to the shenanigans of Indiegogo that have been going on now for 2 to 3 years, and it is a litany of crap from that company.
Yeah, she screw with you too, dude.
Oh yeah, they doxed me for like 42 hours, and tons of other people. They doxed John Malin.
Yeah, they screwed me. They screwed me over big time. Yeah, I had to take my campaign to Fund My Comic.
They hold people's money.
Well, it's not just that, but I was supposed to go, because I had FlexPay. I was supposed to go in demand, and they decided, nope, you're not going in demand. And they just shut my campaign down.
What?
I was like, yeah, they did that to me. I was like, fuck you, I'm going over to run my comic. So I went over, told everybody what happened, put the thing on from my comic, and ran it for a good long time. And
Yeah, but that's just the way it is. It's you need kind of it to happen to someone with a
yeah,
lot of notoriety for people to really pay attention. Because up until even if it's just their method of shadow banning, it I don't know how. I know it had some effect. I don't know how much effect it had, considering a lot of these guys, Graham, Shane, they have the ability to drive large crowds wherever they want.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Why would they do that? Because they're making money, the Indiegogos, the Kickstarters. Why would they even consider that?
That's the $1 million question.
I know that Andy Smith feels that they feel, him and Dennis Turner feel that the shadow ban really hurts their campaigns.
Yeah,
I'm not sure why he's the least of the, not the least of the commentating teams, but the least funded. Like they barely got over 100K for core draft. That's a 150K book easy.
Yeah.
And the quality of that book is as good as any book. And
Plus,
this book now,
he's
he's not even at 60K. And then, Shane sneezes and it's $100,000.
Well, but Shane put in a lot of work to get his site up. I think originally the shadow ban cost him probably somewhere in the region of 30.
Yeah, I think it cost him money too.
So these aren't insignificant numbers, and that's just one thing about Indiegogo. That's one thing. There's lots of other things that other people might not be aware of, or just happened and we forgot about. And I think it's just they sold their company to some I don't know, BlackRock company a couple of years ago, and I remember there was an interview. There was an interview with the CEO. She was laughing about how we go to work in our pajamas at home, and it's like, yeah, I can tell.
Well, until they get, Fund My Comic is great until somebody really puts. I mean, they've had bigger names. Rainey did a book there, but it's not one she drew. Yeah, until somebody really like Cecil is going to be. That'll be the one.
I think once Ethan goes over there, that'll be.
Ethan was going to do one of his books there, but I don't know if it was going to be a Cyberfrog book. He's very comfortable where he is.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's a big gamble, but for me, I don't know. It worked. It worked out for me. I grew a lot in the between when I was on Indiegogo to when I had my own site. I went from 45,000 to 75,000. So, that's cool. That's great. Obviously, for me, could Ethan maintain on his own on Fund My Comic? I don't know.
I don't know. That's why he was going to test it out. Not with Fearsome. It was with Lynx.
If he said something on the stream of his where he easily pulls in between 1,500 2,000 viewers every time he streams now, all you have to do is say, "Hey, I'm going to Fund My Comic and doing this." It'll trickle down. People will go there.
Yeah,
I don't think you'd have a problem.
I don't disagree with you. Yeah,
the numbers are talking. Even you,
even you, if you just exclusively, let's say you forego your site and you just wanted to do an experiment and say, "Hey, I'm going to go," because you got a lot of pull and you got a lot of fans. You can get quite a few people over there too.
I don't know if I'm bringing anyone new to Fund My Comic. I mean, I've been ever since it launched. I was kind of, to my detriment, I was sort of poo-pooing the notion that they would be able to actually get it to work, because I just know how much of a challenge it is. But the fact that they pulled it off, I mean, I've been a big proponent of Fund My Comic since the moment they got it live and it was working.
It's a pretty good deal.
Well,
it's the best deal in crowdfunding. That there's no doubt about it.
But you're right. The bigger guys are afraid. Like if they can't afford to have a lesser book. They all say great things about Fund My Comic, and they all consider it, but they're afraid to go over there. They're afraid they're not going to get the reach.
Well,
prestige
even if it's a
prestige.
drop of 10-15% for them, that's a lot of money.
It's a
Whereas
lot
a drop
of money. I
of
agree with you.
10-15% for me is not, life changing.
And look how much they would reattain from the like what is it, like 1% that they take, 1-2%, something like that.
That's
So they would get a lot of their money back.
But
Yep.
the truth is, the only crowdfunder that does promotion is really Kickstarter. Fund My Comic never really did a whole lot either. It's that we're not supposed to go to Kickstarter. I don't care. I'll follow the backer. I prefer to fund on a thing like Shane or Indiegogo. The back on those platforms. The back on Kickstarter is kind of I don't like the way they take the money out of
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of
later,
Kickstarter either.
and it's a whole other issue. But some guys, that's all they do is Billy does a great business on Kickstarter, but he's got that Brian Polito business, and those guys never have to go.
Yeah, the Kickstarter crowd is in a different bubble. So that's why a lot of people struggle to get anything on there. And that's why you find Polito and Billy and a bunch of others have had major success over there, because they sort of predate this whole thing, and they were already famous.
Right, like Palmiotti,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it does really well for them. And I agree. I've used Kickstarter. One of them was sort of semi-successful, the other one not as much. But yeah, it's a different animal, and it's a different crowd, and it requires a different approach to marketing. And so you can't just go onto YouTube, for example, and jump on a bunch of streams and promote to Kickstarter. It doesn't really draw the sort of numbers you would expect. A lot of the marketing is done through Facebook or in conventions and different things.
Right.
It's a whole different animal.
They do a lot of their stuff.
Where is that page? Drawing these Inuits and all these details of these comics. What I'm doing is for this Mythic Americas, and it's a tabletop game like a Warhammer with indigenous peoples. So I've drawn Aztecs and Mayans. Wow, that's really, if you remember watching Wakanda, Black Panther 2, and Namor comes up with all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I have to draw on those things.
Oh, have fun with that.
And well, I did it. I faked it. I mean, it's not all like I faked it. I mean, it is a role-playing game, and it's all off of these little figures that they paint too, some of the characters. So I'm like, oh, and I'm looking at it now. I'm like, oh, where am I going to bring this up? So sometimes I just sketch it out. I don't have all the details. It's a little harder than you think.
I haven't done anything like
it's
that.
Like we're drawing Warhammer characters, and then I'm who I am, so I had to get used to drawing, like basically like that type of style, face and body.
But you're so good, dude.
I'm not that good. I'm all right.
Oh,
Thank
shut
you.
up. You're gonna come on here and be modest. Come on.
Well,
You know you're good. We love you, man. It's all good.
so I'm looking at this now. I'm like, what are the details of his belt? I don't know. But the best part about this, none of this is I drawing ice flows, no cars, no buildings, some perspective. The last one had a lot of had perspective in a lot of. I did a lot of Dutch angles because it wasn't that exciting, and it was a lot of pure.
The Dutch angle, is that the one where the background's cockeyed?
Yeah, I just tilted them because they're walking up the steps of the temple, like the Mayan temple, and I had to draw a lot of bricks.
Some of these guys, man, when they do the Dutch angles, it's so weird. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I don't know, but in my mind, or I'll even like clip the image and put it in something like Clip, and I'll rotate it to where the background is horizontal, and the characters look like they're about to fall over.
Yeah,
I don't know how they do that.
I did it anyway.
They get away with it.
I use Dutch
crazy.
angles. You got to do it sparingly, though. You can't go too overboard with it.
It drives me crazy.
None of these stories are heroic superhero stories, so I don't know what's going to happen with this. This is going to be like 8 splash pages but the first one, a little kid got beaten to death by monsters. You know,
Oh,
because they have all these figures. The monsters come up. It's all like Mayan lore, and it's all that like the trickster did this and all that type of myths. And they're not heroic deeds. There isn't a protagonist. It's just a story, and so it's hard to get into. You realize these are not nice people, right? The other one they threw at the end. They threw spoiler alert. They threw the guy off the temple, and the whole town burned. And that's the way, and that's what this one god wanted. You know,
this is.
they have two like teenage trickster gods. I got to design the girl I got to design them. That was pretty cool. So it takes me a little bit to get into the story. I like to have that protagonist, superhero, or any
That is
protagonist.
my favorite
you know,
aspect of comics
mystery.
character design. I love it.
I gotta jot up, fellas. I gotta get ready for my show later.
That's cool, man. We appreciate you stopping in, big.
Nice talking to you.
Yeah. Thanks a
Yeah,
lot
we-
for the invite.
Yeah, we've been going for an hour and a half.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to wrap it up too, man. I got to go get some dinner,
Oh yeah.
but I can hang on for a little bit longer. I mean,
right.
maybe
Well,
another 10,
I'll see you
15
around.
minutes.
Bye.
Have a good show,
Good
big.
But figure
Bancroft, ladies and gentlemen. Bancroft has exited the building.
Oh,
Duck, you awful quiet down there, man. What you doing?
Oh, listen to y'all talk.
yeah, because I never shut up.
Well, I mean, you know.
I got drawn.
Anybody got anything they want to show?
Sure. Hold on a second.
James, you want me to make you big there, buddy?
sure.
And biggin.
So
Now, this is
nice.
your book cover, right?
this is the cover to my new novel, which will be out next year.
What's it going to be called, bro?
Head game developer trapped in another world.
Nicely done. And this is the bad man, right?
This is the bad guy. This is the main character here.
Do you know how hard it is to get old man wrinkles correct? It can be difficult. But it looks super pretty good so far. Uh-oh, Duck's showing us something. Hang on. And biggin. Look at this man right here.
Is that
ladies and
sideways or
gentlemen.
what?
Sideways.
Nice.
What about this?
Dude.
I have John
This is
Wolverine.
some cheek. This is my first time doing a draw stream, so
I'm digging it.
I love that arm. I love that.
Yeah, that is good foreshortening.
Thank you.
I friggin' hate foreshortening. I have so much trouble with it.
I love it.
But I keep
mess
practicing.
it up, but I do it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That was one of the things that I was also told. You can't just not do something because you have trouble with it. The more you do it, like hands, you know, so many artists have trouble with hands.
I have trouble.
You got to get to a point where you just draw that shit in your sleep, you know?
I'm still learning.
Oh, me too, dude. I'm
Still
nowhere
learning
near
everything.
a hand
And, like,
perfectionist.
I don't think there'll ever be a time where like
You know,
I've been here, old school, pros talking about how they're constantly learning. So
I think the biggest problem I have, and this is exclusively because of being digital, I work on the wrong layer so many times.
do you?
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it pisses me off.
What was that?
I'll go and I'll do like some really extensive line work on something, right? Or even on a color. And I'll go back and I'll be like, oh, damn it, that's on the wrong layer. And I got to do all this over again. Or I got to take the selection lasso and I got to very carefully select everything and then cut and then repaste on a different layer. That's just me, though, because I'm kind of retarded. But I mean, that's
I
just
dig
me.
it. All right. I can find myself going off into the weeds, so to speak, and then zooming back and just like who was talking earlier where you zoom back and that stuff didn't even make it. Like, if you printed it out, it
Mhm.
wouldn't even show up. Yeah.
No, I feel that pain, too. What about you, Marcus? What are you doing? You want to show
Okay,
anything?
well, I was light boxing this. I'll turn off the light box. You can see it.
Oh,
Nice.
dude.
Looks
So
beautiful.
It's hard to see, but it's the because I'm a mess. It's the water is coming up on this guy. He just got out of the water for the Mistress Sedna, and he's all miserably and wet. I got to make some more wet here. And then this is like the background. This will be like nighttime. I'll do my stars and stuff. This will be black and white, so I won't leave this blank.
Mhm.
And the next one, each is like it's almost like illustrating a book. And I'll do all this in Lightbox, and I'll lighten it all up and redraw the details, especially on the figure. Probably not on the rest.
How hard is it to draw water? Because I know I always have trouble with it.
I try to draw it. I want to draw it like the old 70s. Like it seems to work out okay. I put a lot of. I think it looks watery. I don't know. It's hard to see in the way my lighting. I'm not set up to really. I can get on. This is just like a work computer and all. I don't have a.
Are you gonna ink that traditional or?
Yeah, I'll ink it traditional.
Cool. Well, I guess I'll show my little bit of crap. I finally got all the rocks done. Rocks.
Damn.
You gotta love rocks. So that's dude right there.
Nice.
Zeal, I think he said his name was. He's got some kind of gauntlet. Yeah, rocks. I do like getting into like the little details and stuff like that and just kind of losing myself into it. It really helps calm me down.
I love drawing rocks.
Rocks are good. I'm not a big fan of drawing buildings. I'm trying to get past that.
Yeah, I'm not crazy for it either.
Yeah, I go back and forth between which is easier because like sometimes I feel like making up a new building and not using a reference is easier.
Yeah.
And then
That's the trouble with me, the reference. Trying to find
the reference is good. I can't tell which one is faster and easier. I mean, like because like when you're creating a building out of make believe, you still want it to look real and dynamic and well rendered. I mean, otherwise it's going to stick out. So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out, which is which. I mean, like did you see the Batman he did recently?
Dude, that Batman you posted, what was it, like a week or two ago? That was the bomb.
Thank you.
That was the flow of the cape and everything, dude. I really love that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All those buildings were just straight out of the dome.
Yeah, you got good architecture skills going on too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just if I don't look at a reference and I'm doing buildings, I tend to blank out on the details.
If you guys don't follow this guy on Twitter, you really need to. This guy is phenomenal.
Who is he?
His name is
Page.
Yeah, he's the guy. He's the guy that did the backgrounds for Akira.
Oh wow!
Oh, for real?
Yeah, he did all the backgrounds for Akira.
Wait, dude, hold the cover up again. I want to write dude's name down. Hang on.
Yeah. Now that's some drawatism right there.
Right?
Takabataki Satoshi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say
You
that
can go
5
on-
times fast.
This is available on Amazon.
That's awesome.
Okay.
So his stuff is just,
Mm-hmm.
People like that make me sick, but in a good way.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of ticks you off. You're not at that level yet, but at the same time, it just puts a boot in your butt, makes you want to get there. Like you wish.
I think it's just a level of patience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly,
I just don't have.
I don't feel like sitting there for that long.
Yeah. It's like I want to hurry up and get to the action stuff, man.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. But like I said, well, if you didn't know this, Jim Valentino had a background artist for all of his Shadowhawk.
Mm-hmm.
Did he?
Yeah.
I can see
You know
that.
who it was?
I have to go look at the artwork, but I've got some. Hold on, let me look.
Jim Valentino. That's another underrated artist right there.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen the Image Comics movie?
Yeah, it's great. I watched it.
Yeah, that is very educational.
Yeah, his name is Brad Foster.
You
But
got
he did
it.
it. Yeah, because I've got some Shadowhawk artwork. So, and hold on, I'll go get a piece real quick so you can see it.
So let's talk influences. Marcus, who's your biggest influence?
Kirby, Buscema, Romita, all those old guys.
I am not
Will
surprised.
Eisner, he was my teacher in school.
Well, I see.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I was
Very
at SBA. I had him for
Oh.
3 years.
You can see here.
All right, hang on.
You see the backgrounds here.
Oh man,
That's all Foster's work.
that is beautiful.
It's unbelievable.
Makes me dizzy looking at it. That's awesome.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I mean, that is a serious straight. I mean, perspective wise, is just
Beautiful.
that articulation, like just with the cars alone, is enough to make me bonkers.
Yeah.
What about you, Doc? Who's your biggest influence?
I always have to say Mark Silvestri on top.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
I'm a huge
really,
Silvestri fan too, bro.
Yeah, but everybody. I mean, like I haven't loved the new guys. Oh, I say they're new, but I mean, like they've probably been around for like 10, 15 years now. But like we've seen Jerome Opena.
What's that now?
Jerome Opena.
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, the X Force, dude. I loved his X Force.
I think he's right up there with like Travis Charest and Lionel Yu.
Travis Charest, his
really
style
like his
has
stuff.
changed so much over the years.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like the sketches he's been posting lately.
Yeah, it don't even look like him anymore.
Don't seem like he's putting it all in there anymore.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
I don't know. It's like somebody wants to be him, but it's not quite
But-
him.
yeah, but him in his heyday, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh man, I fell in love with that dude's stuff back when he was doing Wildcats,
Oh yeah, yeah.
especially the X-Men crossover. That was super dope.
You know, I really had no problem with the Jim Lee clones whatsoever. So I mean, like even when he was on that what was that called, that DC thing where he was doing like just straight up his own version of Jim Lee. What was that? It was something Stalkers, Dark Stars, I think.
Dark
Something
Stars, yeah,
from
that was
DC.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was just like, straight up a Jim Lee clone. But I mean, like that.
Wasn't that how we got
Like-
noticed by Wildstorm? I think.
So
I
what,
might be wrong about that.
what's that?
I think wasn't that how he got noticed by Wildstorm, or was that after?
That's probably how he got it because I remember that was like right after he went to Wildcats. So I mean,
Yeah.
and you could see still like his style was still lingering, like his DC his first style was still lingering in Wildcats,
Especially the faces.
and then he just like flipped a switch, just like man, and blew
Yeah, when
everybody
he
out.
did that Wildcats X-Men crossover, there was still a lot of the
Yeah,
old charade in there, but he was doing some
always on hand.
funky shit with his inking and the textures. And I was digging the hell out of it.
Amazing. Like I got it right here.
Yeah, dude, that is one of my favorite books.
yeah, I've got that.
Just looking at the artwork,
Yep.
I don't even care about the story on that. Just looking at the artwork,
No, I don't. Yeah, I didn't either.
especially when he draws the alien, the Damonites, I think they call them.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
my goodness. Yeah.
It's like almost Art Adams kind of texture love. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, like a little bit beyond Adams. He was just taking it to a whole nother level.
Oh yeah. No arguments on me from that one.
Yeah.
Well, I asked everybody else, James. So who's your biggest influence?
Jim Lee is. So,
Again, not surprised.
well, sitting there with 20 minutes getting lectures on how to draw, that was,
Oh, yeah.
you get, I kid you not, you get like somebody like Kerry Gamble, Jim Lee, or Mark Silvestri, sit down with you for 20 minutes to give you, this is what you want to fix, and this is how you just,
Yeah.
and everybody back then was so nice, giving you tips and everything. Because when you ask them for tips, what am I doing wrong? They'll sit there and they'll go, well, this is what I see that you're doing wrong, and so like this. And you take it home, you work on it, come back, 3 or 4 months, and they're like going, yeah, you have a lot more improvement. You still need to fix this and this, but you're
Yep.
improving. That was always the key. Always getting that,
Yeah, I never got the chance to talk with Jim Lee. Always wanted to meet him. Always wanted to talk to him. Never got the
He
chance.
is a nice guy. He really is. Especially, when you're talking comics and art, when it comes to business, and I have to go in business mode, that's a whole different ballgame.
Oh, I don't know, man. I just want to like shoot the shit with some of these guys, not necessarily talk comics, but just like
I'll tell you the best
kind
guy.
of BS with them.
I'll tell you the best guy to shoot the shit with is Rob Liefeld.
I don't doubt it.
Dude, that guy, man, he's automatically likable. I kid you
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
He
I
is.
got no problems with Rob Liefeld. I love that guy.
I've met him so many times. The most autographed stuff I have is from him.
For real.
Oh my God. He'd sign anything I had, he'd sign. He was like, yeah, yeah. And back in the 90s, they didn't charge to sign.
No, they didn't. That's new.
Yeah.
So, and
I always said if I got big, I would never charge anyone for an autograph.
Well, the first guy to charge was Neil Adams.
the
I'm
thing
not
the thing that I've always done is like this. I've always said this: if you bought my book, I'll sign it.
Hell yeah.
I can kind of understand it, but when I was at Heroes Con, I'd be like, "There's Jim Starlin, $20. Mike Grell, $20."
I know.
And I remember when they signed everything for free. But the issue is with the collectors, people coming with stacks like
Yeah.
this,
And then they go sell them.
and they had to kind of either they're going to make money off it or they're not going to sign at all.
Yeah.
Well, what I like
kinda
about-
feel that. I kind of feel that.
Like what I liked with Jim and everything, especially when it went Image. Jim was 2 books. That's it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I want to say 94-ish, 95-ish,
Mhm.
up until 94, 95. You could really take in with George Perez and everybody. You could really take in stuff like that.
Oh,
But
God.
the first people, I'll tell you this: the first people I saw charge was Adam West and Julie Newmar. They were the first 2 people that charged for
Well,
signatures.
they're big celebrities, though. You kind of expect that.
Well, I'm talking about this is back 90s but they're the first 2 people I saw that charged.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't care. I was paying for it anyway, so I didn't care.
Yeah.
So
Well, I know that Palmiotti charged and Amanda Connor charged $5. The first one's free, $5 for
That
every
ain't
other.
bad, though. I mean, you
No,
know.
and that's fair. And then they have their prints, and the prints will be beautiful print that Amanda did or something or Jimmy.
I've got
and it'd be
several
$20, but the signature's free because sometimes they charge you twice.
She's another artist that should get way more love than she gets, too.
Well, you should see her at cons. Their line is as big as
Oh,
anybody's.
this
They were
their
packed.
line goes out the board.
Nice.
She's extremely popular, especially her Harley Quinn. I have a lot of. I love the run on Power Girl. I really love that whole
Yeah,
run.
that was a really good run.
That was so great, and I got most of those books signed by them, most of them. But I've got a lot of stuff of theirs because I talk to Jim all the time. Jim, now you want to talk business of comic books? That's the guy to talk to. I mean, Jim, brilliant mind. I mean, just when it comes to the business of comic books,
Uh-huh.
he has got the you get him, Billy Tucci, and Brian Polito together. Oh my God! I mean,
Don't talk politics with him though.
no. I'm talking about comic books. You know what I'm talking about? Politics. It's a nightmare because you got conservative and liberal together, and it just it goes, all out the door. But if you talk straight comic books, oh my God!
Oh, I know. I talked to Jimmy at Billy's booth last year at Heroes Con. And what a nice guy. And I would go to Billy. I go, "What's the matter? Why is Jimmy like that? And you're like this. You're both from New York." And I know where they're from, right? I'm from New York, so
Yeah.
He goes, he sounds just like a New York liberal. Just they don't listen to anything else. They hate certain, my sister's like that too. And he does have his reasons, but you're like, why do they vote against their better judgment? But he's not. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah, he is.
Really nice guy.
And Amanda's sweet as heck. Amanda's sweet as she can be.
Yeah, I get
they're
that
great.
vibe.
Yeah, we hung out with them.
Yeah, but no, if you wanted to, if you were starting a comic book, if you were starting a comic book company, and you needed a guy that really knew how to put the thing together, Jim Palmiotti is the guy to go get. He really is. He really knows what he's talking about. He really knows what to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's got that mind.
I really appreciate this. This was a lot of fun. You doing it next weekend too?
Yeah, I wanted to make this a weekly thing. Saturday at 7. If you guys are up for it.
Yeah.
I get better than usually at Saturdays. I'm in the I listen to the chat.
Yeah.
Deja Vanessa's, and I tell you, I like them. I love all those guys, but that's a long slog, and they get really negative about guys. It's the people that hate Ethan, it's the people that love Eric. It's the people
I'm
that
sick
hate
of all
Eric,
that
and I'm
crap,
like,
dude.
guys, come on. First of all, I'm so old now. I don't care about much. I like to listen to all of it because I enjoy it for the entertainment's sake. Like, Ethan's a great broadcaster and he's funny, but I don't really care about all that drama. I don't consider it drama. It is what it is. If you can't do it, don't do it.
The thing that I've always said was, for me, is y'all can argue among yourselves. You're still my friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And it's like the thing between Eric and Ethan, I could care less because I have friends on both sides.
Listen, you made a comic. Your comic is 100 times better than anything Eric's put out. I know he's made a lot of money, and it's a lot of good reasons why he made money, and God bless him. I don't care. He can make all the money. He can keep making the comics. But to act like he does about it is really aggravating. But it's enjoyable. It is what it is. That's all I have. I don't have I don't worry a whole lot about it.
The thing about Eric is.
So guys, I don't mean to interrupt, but my stomach is growling, and my wife.
Okay.
No, that's cool. We're gonna be wrapping this up here in a minute.
I ate before. That's why
Gabe's a friend of mine. You got Chuck Dixon. You got Bennett. So
I know. I love all.
That's why I don't get involved with it. I just sit back and let.
I like Chuck.
Work. So it's just one of those things. I got friends on both sides, so I'm like, okay.
I see that. Yeah, I hear that. I like Chuck a lot. I mean, I don't know Chuck. I don't know Joe Bennett. I don't know. Well, I used to be on streams with Gabe. I like Gabe, but it is what it is. Well, Gabe doesn't work for them anymore, but still. Just the whole generosity of it. I can see exactly. It didn't help. Let's put it this way. The Rippaverse has not helped crowdfunding. It's people say, well, all tides rise, all boats. But that really didn't. He used crowdfunding thing, but it's really his own. It's a prepay, his own website. Much more of a publisher than a crowdfunder, and that's fine.
Exactly.
But he sat there and then he talked crowdfunding down, and people. So specifically, he didn't really say constantly, but I've watched before he did comics. I've watched his YouTube shows. He doesn't really talk about anybody specifically. He talks around everything. So you have to almost infer. And I don't think he really helped crowdfunding. He just kind of split it, saying, I'm going to be way better than these guys. Whether it was Ethan or Don or James, it doesn't matter who it was. He was setting up a divisive competition. When even though we're all like big capitalists, to be indie comics, we all have to be in this together. Like I have to root for you and you have to root for me. And if I can help you guys out somehow, I will help you out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
kind of how indie has to be.
I'll tell you what I said.
Setting it up that way.
Right.
But it is what it is. I mean,
I'll tell you what I've seen.
You know,
if you're back in the 90s in the independent circuit, okay, not the big boys, but the independent circuit, there was a lot of how can I put it? There was a lot of animosity when somebody in the independent circuit made it big.
Yeah, I know.
And in the independent circuit says, well, they made it big. They should help me try to get mine up higher like that. And when they walked away from you, and there was bad blood. No, I'm saying this is what it was in the 90s. There was bad blood. And the difference is back then you didn't have the social media.
Right.
Today you have social media, and it's basically the same thing that would happen on in the 90s. And it's just, okay, whatever. Do what you want to do. I'm going to go over here and do my stuff.
There is a lot of that mentality out there, though, about the, let me stand on your shoulders a little bit kind of thing.
Well, I
get it a little bit. If you can help people, it's great. But at the same time,
really mean help you guys.
You really should make it on your own merit. You know what I mean?
Well, I didn't mean help you guys like that promotional help that everybody gets upset about. I was more like support doing streams like this.
Yeah.
If you're in a tight thing, you need something to ink.
There's a lot of people out there who think it's owed to them. You know what I mean?
Well,
and that's
the thing. The thing with me, anytime I've been on a stream, okay, with Michael, with Billy, with Andy, with even Ethan, I've always been very humble. I've always been very and I don't forget it either. You know, if you know, like when the books come out, I'm going to make sure that everybody knows that hey, this wasn't possible without y'all's help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one of those things, and
Right.
it's the way I've always been taught. That's the way I've always, you know, everything. I've been, and like I said, last time I saw Rob, I gave him one of my novels. I said, "Thank you for all the support you gave me back in the '90s and everything like that." You know, I make sure that I pay my dues back to the people that helped me get it where I'm at today.
Well,
And you know,
respect,
that's the way I
respect.
want to be remembered as.
Yeah.
He made
Right.
it.
No,
but
yeah, I
he
agree.
was very thankful for it.
Most
You know,
definitely.
that's just the way I do it.
Well, that's what we're all about here, man. We're trying to keep it positive, you know.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
And
This
on
is
that note, gentlemen, I think we're going to wrap this one up.
well. Thank
Sounds
you very
good.
much. I hope my terrible lighting and the way I do this has not been a bother.
Oh no, dude, you're fine. You won't talk about terrible lighting. Look at mine, right?
Well, I
Terrible.
can see you better to see me. I'm always washed out on these. I do. I'm also on with John on Friday nights. Usually, it's clobbering time.
Yeah,
So
I got to do another stream with him, man. It's been too
people
long.
don't jump on and they talk. He just talks about, hey, who's stronger, the Thing or the Hulk? And we go over it for about an hour and a half and go off on tangents like we did tonight.
Yeah.
And,
Well, is there anything you guys want to pimp or anything, or mention?
Well, the only thing that like I said, my campaign's over, so we're just trying to get it finished up so we can get it out.
Yeah,
And
I'm
then
holding you up. I know.
And then once that's done, you know, and then like I said, 2025, this new one comes out. Like I said, it'll be a novel. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, and I've learned, and I can go over the different next time. Probably I'll go over the difference between the publishing of a novel compared to the publishing of a
That
comic.
would be interesting. Hey,
Because-
James, I want to ask you, what pen were you using today?
Which one? Which
The
one?
one
Oh,
you were
really?
inking with, I guess.
It
I
looks like
was-
a pilot.
No, it was not a pilot. It is a hold on. Let me find one that's actually got levers on it, so I can actually tell you. But it is come here. It is one of these.
Hang on, let me make it big.
Let me do this like this.
Pull back a little because
Yeah,
we
pull
made
back
you
a
big.
little.
Okay. Nice. I like it. I'm not a big Micron fan. I ink with
Well, these are not microns.
Microns.
Yeah, these are not microns. These are
I like that line.
two hands pigment liner. This is a number 20.
That's nice. I like
they
that
come
line.
they come in a pack on you can get them on Amazon. And
Nice.
they come in a pack. Then they get the big jumbo size one too. So if you need to do blacks, they got one that's about that big around.
I actually try to do it like the old school brush stuff. But
Yeah.
I still do dip pens I'm not super crazy for. I never was, so
But what I'll do is once I get this completed, I will get it scanned and I'll ship it over to you, Don.
I'm looking forward to coloring that. That looks like it's going to be a killer.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I really got left to say is Omega Mission sign up goes live November the 1st of this year. And it's just a sign up. I'm going to let that sign up run for a long time.
Haldir has a question
What's that name?
about James Lee the book, but he can't find it on Amazon.
Oh,
That
okay, hold on.
James was showing.
I'll type it in. So this is what you need. This is what you need to type in on Amazon.
James, you got a question here on the chat.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to.
Okay, I just put it. If you put that in Amazon, it'll pull up all three books.
There you go.
All three books are on Amazon.
Okay.
All right then.
Well, gents, I appreciate
have a
y'all
good
popping in.
No, my pleasure.
Shooting
Thanks,
the
Tom.
breeze. I had fun. It was a good
Yeah, it
show.
was great.
And well, on that note, we're going to try to do this again.
Oh,
same
hold
time.
on, wait. He wants the Akira book. Okay, hold on. It is it's going to take a minute to type it in.
All right, go for it. Time's up. I'm just kidding. go. How about the Mets? Didn't you say you were watching the game today, dude?
Oh, it's the Yankees. Yeah, I'm a Yankee fan.
How'd they do?
It's tied 5-5. It was they were up and the shortstop made an error. The problem, social media is a bane to sports. If you're a sports fan, you start following it on social media. People are mean. People are really mean.
That's the title of the book.
All right, I'll put that in the comments when I get this up and edited on. Well, I mean, I have to go back later and do it, but yeah, I'll put that in the comments so people can find it.
And he does post a lot of his work on X Twitter. So
Cool. All right, guys. We're going to bug on out. And once again, I appreciate you guys stopping in and shooting the crap. And maybe we'll do it again next week. So, all right. Everybody have a good night. And
You too.
see
Good
you
night.
later.
all right, bye.